Hey everyone, if you guys can hear me, we'll try to get going here. Alright, I think it's live. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to post this in a few different chats, so bear with me for a minute. How's everyone doing? Thanks for letting me know that my camera was not actually on my laptop. So here we are. Silver tacos in the house. Alright guys, I guess I should say thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. I just pulled up the Bella charts, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, and ADA. And I just wanted to, touch base, right? We published a video earlier today on the logarithmic regression, right, of Bitcoin. If you missed that video, I would encourage you to go watch it. The nice thing with those videos is that I can just kind of talk without getting too distracted. But the general idea, right, is we have the primary regression band, and then the theoretical overvaluation regression band. So we know that if we reach this region, we're likely getting to the point where the party's over, right? Mainly because that's historically been the case. So it's just a matter of how long will it take us to get there, and if we go there sooner rather than later, it'll probably be less than 100K. If it takes us a few years to get there, it'll probably be over 100K. And as you guys know, if you watch the channel, I more so tend towards thinking that it's a lengthening cycle, and think that it's more likely than not that the peak will occur not in 2021, but in later on, like either 2022, 2023. 2023 is kind of like the Goldilocks zone for the peak. I think that's when it'll occur. But maybe as early as Q4 2022 or as late as Q2 of 2024. So we'll see what happens, right? But again, it's just a matter of how we react to whatever happens, because at the end of the day, no one really knows what's going to happen. But we will certainly continue to follow it. And the nice thing, right, about not knowing what's going to happen is, taking profits whenever you can, right? Taking profits in any type of bubble, and then reinvesting those profits if you see a correction. So this was the regression chart. Hey everyone, thanks for joining. So again, these are the regression charts. I would encourage you guys to go watch the video if you haven't seen it. But generally speaking, this was a nice capitulation, right? This was a nice capitulation down to 3,800. On the graph, it might only go up to around 5,000 because it's daily data. If it did go down to, say, minute data, then it would be, right basically at that blue line where it would have crossed. So anyways, we'll see what happens, right? It looks similar, right, to the last cycle. If we were to just to kind of slowly go up for the next 2 years, even in this regression band, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Business as usual, bring it on. If we were to do that, right, if we were to stay in that regression band for a couple years, so noting that we're in August of 2020, so let's fast forward to August of 2022. The price at that time would be between like $25,000 to $40,000 in 2 years, just if we stay within this regression line. Okay, so this is why it's important, right? You can see that's what happened over here. It started off at around 200 or so, and then 2 years later it was at 1,000. But we were still within the same regression line. So I mean, there's nothing magical about these regression lines, right? I mean, at the end of the day, Bitcoin could not care, it could not care less what regression lines some YouTuber is drawing on his channel. But I'm just trying to, I'm trying to, use them to basically try to understand what Bitcoin's doing a little bit more, so that it's not so, so noisy, so that it's not just like this mess of a thing, or you look at it over the macro scale and you can kind of see, okay, well, you get an idea of where we are, right? Generally moving up. You should know that on the chance that we come up into a speculative bubble, you can see that the last speculative bubble in 2019 came up to the purple line. If we were to come up to that one at present day, which I'm not saying we would, but if we did, then you can see that it would take us to around 25,000 or so if we were to go up to the purple line present day, because we know these increase monotonically over time. But again, if we drop down to the orange and blue band, so this band over here, if at some point, let's just say we move sideways and go into this band, well, by 2022, the lower part of this band would be 10K, and then the upper part would be 20K. And this is around the time where I think we're going to break and sustain the prior all-time high of $20,000, right? So in about 14 months, give or take a couple months, right? What's a couple months among friends? But this is generally when I think we're going to see it sustained. Now, of course, we could go above it in the meantime, but I think we would likely come back through and see it hopefully sustained by this point. So remember, the move to the prior all-time high tends to be a slow one, right? And then it goes parabolic after it gets to the all-time high. So the move to the all-time high will likely be slower, and then once we get there, it'll probably start to accelerate. Now, some of you are probably thinking, well, if we continue at the rate we've been going, we're going to reach there in no time. I would argue that the only reason the market is as bullish as it is right now is because of this dump here, this capitulation that happened in March. Because if this hadn't happened, and we had just kind of gone to 14K and then went sideways for like a year and a half or something, like the market would be pretty boring right now, right? No one would really care about Bitcoin if it just moved sideways for a year. The reason the market's so bullish is because we recently capitulated to 3,800, and then a lot of smart money got in down here, and then now we're riding the wave up. So it's all about how you get there, right? It's the path to getting there does make a big difference in the market sentiment. So again, there's nothing, it's just business as usual at the end of the day. Bitcoin breaking 12K, right? We said this is business as usual. We made a video the other day, right, that said if now that Ethereum has shown a lot of strength and gone through 400, likely Bitcoin's going to follow suit, right? It's going to follow and go through 12K because they're dancing partners, right? And if Ethereum's going to be bullish like that and then move up and then kind of hold its ground, then Bitcoin's likely going to follow. So I mean, this is ultimately kind of where I see things going. Something like that. It could do, it could, maybe we go up and then come back down. But ultimately speaking, I think we're going to reach, somewhere between $100,000 to $200,000, give or take, a few tens of K. What's a few K, my friends? So let me, I went into the regression stuff a lot in the video, so let me just go ahead and jump into this. If you look at, so Bitcoin right now is at 12,278. So, some things have changed, right? So what has changed with Bitcoin making this move? Well, basically everything that we speculated might happen, it seems like it has happened to some degree. So the first thing we said is that if Bitcoin makes a move, and it shoots past 12K quickly, right? And it did. I mean, it went to 12K, then it went to 12.1, 12.2, 12.3. It even went up to 12.4, I believe, for a little bit, as you can see up here. Ethereum will likely bleed against Bitcoin, and that's what happened, right? I mean, let's just look. I mean, I just pulled up the 1 hour chart so you can see that bleed. So here is August 17th, and you can see, I mean, it was already bleeding a little bit as Bitcoin was slowly moving up, but it's continued bleeding since Bitcoin has been making that move. And if Bitcoin were to continue this move, like tomorrow, like if this move were to continue and it goes up to say 12.5, 12.7, then I would expect Ethereum, the ratio to continue bleeding. the main way that I think that Ethereum would stop bleeding and continue its move up, right? So it's move up. Then we go back to the 1 day chart so we actually get a better picture. So the main reason why this would continue going up would be if Bitcoin kind of chills, right? I mean, you guys get the game by now, right? If you don't get it now, you're sleeping. If Bitcoin just chills at 12.2, 12.3, 12.1, even 12,000, Ethereum will likely make another move, and we'll probably go back to 440, 450. So this is ultimately what I'm looking for, right? So business as usual. The other thing we said, right, if you follow like the Bella portfolio, the Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, and ADA, is that Link, when Bitcoin moves up, Link, because it's not correlated to Bitcoin, right? We know it's not correlated to Bitcoin. If Bitcoin's going up, Link tends to do the opposite. So the volatilities tend to cancel out, which is why having both in a portfolio is really good, and based on historical data. And you can see, Bitcoin made that move today, and then Link did dump a bit today. And again, for Link, this is really nothing new. I mean, it's still at $17. I wanted to show the hourly chart here so that you guys could see this dump, because it went down to on Coinbase, it went down to around $14 or so. So let's switch back to the daily chart. So on the daily chart, you can see that it's still business as usual. It doesn't mean that Link is about to crash. It could though, right? It could. We're not. I'm not blindly saying that Link is just going to go up forever, without seeing a significant retracement and then continuing on its journey, right? We know that it's going to retrace at some point. It might retrace as much as 40 or 50%, right? We know this is a likely scenario for Link. We saw it before with Ethereum, right? In 2016, about 100 days after Bitcoin was above its 20-week moving average, which we've shown before, Ethereum made a move up, and then following that move, right, we've showed this before, it did see a 50% retrace, but the retrace was still, if you go from the fair valuation, was still, several 100% from where it started. So even if Link, if we go back to the Link chart, even if Link were to drop by 50% at present time, right? So let's take a 50% move down from the top. It would, and let's say it happened over a few months or something. It would still look like the Ethereum chart from 2016, right? If it did something like that. So if it retraced by 50% and then kind of came back up and then bounced back on, people would look back at it and say, oh yeah, this was a healthy correction, business as usual, right? And you're going to see 50% corrections when something goes up 800% in a few months. It's just a matter of how high it goes. Now the question, right, is how high will it go? I don't know. I can't tell you. It could be that the local top is in, right? It could be that the local top of Link was at $20. We know this is a possible scenario. And if it is, then right, we might come back down. Maybe we revisit $10. Maybe, I don't know, and then maybe we just continue on. But the thing is, right, is if it is the top, if that is the top, then this is why, again, as I've said, it's important to dynamically DCA yourselves on the way up, because you don't know where the top is. And if it keeps going up, you can continue selling. And eventually it will retrace, right? And then whatever you sold at a higher level, you're already able to, purchase Link at a lower price. And then on the other hand, if it just continues going up, then you just continue selling portions of your portfolio. And it's, again, as I've said before, it's just a recognition, a realization to yourself that you cannot time the top and that we don't know where it is. Now, again, some of you, and I'll get to some questions in a minute, some of you think that this is silly, right? That instead, who cares about what happens in 2020, right? You're here for, if you believe in lengthening cycles, you're here for, for say 2023, right? And you don't care if Link goes down in the short term, right? because you ultimately believe that it's going to continue to trend higher, and then maybe, trend higher and higher, and go up to some, insanely overvaluation period that would completely dwarf what is happening today. And the nice thing about this is you could be right? I mean, I do think that Link has a really bright future ahead of it. I think that I made a video showing a very plausible path, in my opinion, to a $100 link or an $80 link over the next, say, 16 months. Like, I think it is possible. And it's just a matter of Bitcoin, I feel like, staying bullish, and Link staying business as usual, right? It's basically just keeping the status quo, and it will reach that point. It would have to break the status quo for it to not reach that, right? To not continue on that trend line that it's been on for the last 2.5 years. And this is, again, the Link valuation against Bitcoin, which is why I think that, because if you look at the weekly chart on Link, I mean, this is, again, as I've said before, who doesn't want to be part of this trend? This is the Link Bitcoin trend. Like, this is a very nice trend to be a part of. And we know, right, that if this is our bottom range here, and if we have some loose top range, whatever it might be, let's just draw it there. We know that we're maybe in that region where it's becoming maybe it's a little too high. But again, Link has never experienced a bull market, right? This is the one glaring observation that you can't overlook. We don't know what Link is capable of in a bull market, and we speculated on this when Link was $2 or $3, right? Even when it was already up 10x during the bear market, we said, well, if it's up 10x during the bear market, like, I even made a video on it. I called it like the light in the bear market. If it's up 10x in the bear market, what is it capable of in the bull market? We don't know. I tend to be a more risk averse, I think, than a lot of people in crypto, because I would prefer to just continuously secure profits, right, than to continue to chase this, like, this paradigm shift that may or may never come, right? And if it ever does come, I'll likely still have a stack of Link, but it just would be less than, say, what I held down here. Now, the one advantage to DCAing yourselves is it's like a second revenue stream. It's like a second income source, right? You see those steady profits, right? Every time you take profits, it starts to become addicting. And then you take profits from one coin, maybe you see another coin go through a dip, and you reinvest it, right? And the primary 4 coins that I focus on are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, and ADA. So it's basically looking at these 4 coins, looking at the risk levels on each coin, trying to say, okay, Link is overvalued now. Maybe it's time to DCA some of that back into Bitcoin, and then you watch Bitcoin move up and Link go down. This is the whole point of the channel, guys. It's all about these key momentum shifts in the market, and then just continuing to follow it and not getting sucked into the what ifs. Like, what if you didn't sell here and you sold everything here? But what if you sold here and then it immediately retraced? Then you would have felt like a genius, right? It's just a matter of hindsight that gives you feelings one way or another. So my advice is just to recognize that we don't know. We don't know where it's going to go. And if it continues to go higher, then great. You can continue holding for as long as you want. You can take profits if you want. And if it goes back down, then those people that did take profits would be able to accumulate even more Link, right? And then they continue on. And then the next time it goes up to this level, the risk is lower because it's sustained a higher level, and you've accumulated more Link, right? I mean, this is the goal. It's the name of the game, in my opinion. And I do respect other opinions about holding. If you just want to hold and accumulate, that's completely fine. I do respect that approach as well. It's just not what I prefer to do. I just recognize for myself that, 2020 could be a speculative bubble, and we might not have another bubble until, say, 2023, right? And if that's the case, I don't want to watch it come and go. This is my main point. So Ethereum, as we've shown with Ethereum before, this is, again, just business as usual, right? We were in our regression band. It's currently trading at 428, and it's my opinion, again, that if Bitcoin holds this level in here, so maybe anywhere between, say, 12,000 I mean, like if it's holding, say, this region, right? If you just see it coming through here for a while, then Ethereum is probably going to continue its move, and I would expect it. I would expect it to just start climbing higher. And if that is the case, right? If Bitcoin holds this level, then there's a really good chance that Ethereum is going to be testing $500 in the not too very distant future. Of course, this is my opinion. I could be wrong, but this is what I think. And if that were to happen, then the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio will continue to go up, right? It will likely continue to go up. And hopefully, as we've said before, hopefully it goes into speculative bubble mode that gives us the opportunity to dynamically DCA some of those Ethereum profits either back into USD or back into Bitcoin. So this is the goal. You guys have questions for me? Let me know if you guys have any questions. Remember, if you guys do want access to the premium list, I'll just go ahead and say it now. You can just check out intothecryptoverse.com, and if you prefer to do it somewhere else, you can also check out patreon.com. So I'm just gonna put the plug in now. And again, you get access to a lot of different things, including the private Telegram channel, the alerts channel, the reports, the videos, the risk dashboard, the strategies dashboard, a whole lot of stuff. And again, the prices are going up soon, so check it out. Now, I will also add in too that we do have a Telegram channel. If you're not familiar with Telegram, I'll put in the link as well, so you can join the Telegram channel. We are approaching, let's see, we currently have 5,445 people in the group, so it is going up if you guys are looking for a community to be a part of. And let's see if we can get to 100 likes. We only have 76 likes. Come on. All right, what do you guys want to talk about? Yeah, the tax consequences are something to consider, of course. I mean, this is common sense. Someone said, why does Link trade opposite of Bitcoin? I mean, the actual reasoning why it does, I mean, it could be any sort of narrative that someone wants to say, right? I mean, it's just the fact that it does, it's important, in my opinion. Someone said, would you still DCA into Bitcoin today? Well, I mean, I still think if you look at the macro trends, we're still within this regression line, right? So I mean, in terms of looking at the macro scale, I think that in general, like if your outlook is, say, several years, then it would still be a decent time to, I mean, based on historical data, it's still a theoretical accumulation phase. Now, what actually happens is anyone's guess, but it is my opinion that we would trend higher over the next several years. Someone said, so trade Bitcoin for Link to bet against Bitcoin going up more. I actually did the opposite in the premium list, and it's all documented. Like, a lot of us traded Link for Bitcoin because we looked at the risk level and said, you know what, the risk level is really high. It's time to offset some of that risk. Yeah, Mac Zulu says, totally agree with your analysis on XRP from your previous videos, but why is it now every analyst and their mother's coming out and saying XRP will 10x in the next few weeks? Are we missing something? I think part of it is that when XRP is down, people it's cool to hate on XRP, right? When XRP starts moving up, even a few percentage points, basically everyone kind of starts shilling their secret XRP bags, right? Because most people don't want to admit they hold XRP, but I find that most people actually do have some XRP, and the reason is because I get so many people asking me on my channel like, hey, I know you don't talk about XRP, what should I do with my bag of it? So I think most of you guys, whether you admit it or not, hold some XRP. So then right when the time comes, when it starts moving, then people get bullish, and then people want to then start shilling their XRP again. But again, for me, it's just noise, right? I stick to the data when it comes to this type of stuff. And again, as we've shown before with XRP Bitcoin, let's try pulling it. Yeah. So I mean, I am personally waiting for it to drop down against Bitcoin even more. This is what I'm waiting for. If it doesn't, then so be it. If I miss a massive pump with XRP, then it is what it is. Like, I don't really care. The thing is that if you just look at it, if you look at it for what it is, right? If you were holding XRP for the last, say 2.5 years, you're down against Bitcoin. And let's not even take it from the wick, okay? Let's be modest and take it from the candle. You're down at this point. You're down 84%, almost 85% with respect to Bitcoin. So when the XRP shills come out on my channel, and again, it's nothing against XRP. If the conditions are right, I will probably purchase XRP again. I just don't personally think those conditions are right now. But if they are, then I might change my mind. So the thing is any time it starts to move up, you get everyone saying, "Oh yeah, haha, you're wrong." But again, I mean, look at the bigger picture, right? I mean, who would you rather be? The person who got out of XRP up here, or the person that held it through and saw a nice like 30% move, like way down here? So my argument, right, is you don't want to hold XRP during a bear market, and it's all about timing with XRP. And again, if you think, you're free to make whatever decision you want. If you think it's about to take off, then go for it. My interpretation, as I've shown before, is that the major move does not come when Bitcoin gets above this 20-week, right? And we've showed this before. I'll just show it again if you haven't seen it. So let's show it. Let me show you what I'm talking about if you're holding an XRP back. And the funny thing is, like, I feel like whenever I start talking about XRP, more people start joining because they really want to hear my opinion on it. So the 20-week, right, this is when a lot of coins started moving last cycle. So first quarter of 2016, right in here is when a lot of coins started moving. So take note, Ethereum USD, it was at this time in the first quarter of 2016 that Ethereum started moving, okay? However, did XRP move? Well, let me go ahead and pull up an XRP USD chart so you can also see it with respect to the US dollar. So I think this is important to see it with both. I mean, I think it's more important to measure it against Bitcoin, but there are a lot of people out there that think of it in terms of USD. So if we go to, say, the 1 week chart, okay, so we're looking at the 1 week chart of XRP, and so let's zoom back out. Let's zoom to 2016. What was happening in the first quarter of 2016? Well, XRP made a move. So right around here, made a move. It went up 85% against USD. But then it proceeded to lose a lot of that, right? I mean, it dropped back down 35%. It really didn't do anything for the next 400 days, right? So then if you look at present day, and I said, it'll trend up with the market, you see again, another 85% move, right? Is this that out of the ordinary? No, it's not. I mean, you know, a lot of coins have absolutely eclipsed an 85% move. Like Link, ADA, Ethereum, a lot of these coins have seen much better returns during that, you know, during the last few months. Even from the capitulation wicks down here, a lot of them have seen better returns than XRP in that period of time. So, you know, because of that, I just think like there's a better chance that it's going to trend sideways. Now, it could go up more, but I still think it's not really ready yet for that major move. And what would cause that major move? Well, here you see, right? This is XRP against Bitcoin. In the first quarter of 2016, yeah, it saw a move, right? We know it saw a move against Bitcoin around 85%. After that move, it proceeded to dump 77%, which was still approximately 50% below where it was before the initial pump, okay? So it's all about perspective. And what caused this move? Well, this was the first quarter of 2017. As we've shown, in the first quarter of 2017, it was when Bitcoin broke its prior all-time high. So personally for me, I don't really care. I don't really care if XRP pumps now. Like, it's just not part of my risk appetite to take it on when the data suggests that it primarily will make a move once Bitcoin gets to its prior all-time high. I think it's more likely that it'll bleed against Bitcoin until Bitcoin gets to its all-time high. And yeah, it can go up in the meantime, but I still think the trend will ultimately be down, like over the macro scale, right? And so what I'm looking for, if we zoom it out here, and draw a rectangle, so I'm more so looking for, you know, this region down here, right? I want to see XRP against Bitcoin like capitulate again. And I want to see it happen. It doesn't mean that XRP USD has to drop, though it would be nice that if it did, because I don't own any, right? I mean, I don't own any, so I would like to see it go down. Because if I do end up buying it, I would like to get it as cheaply as possible. So if you do see this go to 20 cents, if XRP goes to 20 cents and Bitcoin goes to 20K, then that will put the XRP Bitcoin ratio at, instead of 2,585 sats, it'll be about 1,000 sats, right? Which is right around this upper point here. So what I'm hoping, and I could be wrong, I'm hoping that by the time Bitcoin does get to its previous all-time high, actually I drew that. Actually, no, that is right. Then maybe you see like a capitulation in here of XRP against Bitcoin, and then it shoots up. Okay, so something like that. And so if this happens, right, and I don't know if it's going to happen, it might not happen. And if it does happen, right, then I would probably start getting into the market for XRP in that region, and then hoping for that move. And again, on the other hand, if I'm wrong, it just isn't part of my portfolio. And you know, you can say, well, you missed out on those gains. Well, I mean, there's plenty of stocks in this world that we can't all own, and they're seeing nice gains. You just have to pick the ones that you're comfortable holding at various risk levels that you're comfortable holding, and then just stick with it. This is my opinion. So I hope that answered your question about XRP. All right, looks like Bitcoin's back over 12.3. Link is kind of still bleeding here, which, I mean, again, I sold a lot of my Link to Bitcoin already, based on the risk levels. So I would welcome. I mean, I still do hold some Link. Don't get me wrong. I will hold some Link for years, but at the same time, it would be nice for me if it did retrace, because it could potentially represent a reaccumulation area or regime. Sting Superior says, for someone who only owns Bitcoin but interested in Ethereum, ADA, and Link, any rough percentage allocation suggestions? I mean, this is up to you, man. I mean, personally, it just has to be up to what you're willing to hold and what projects you want to hold. I mean, certainly buying Link right now is incredibly risky, right, because of its parabolic move. I feel like the main thing moving right now is just Link to some degree. Well, it's not moving that much, but let me switch this back to the daily chart so it's a little bit more resolute. So yeah, I mean, this wick down here to 14 bucks is interesting. Quiet Like says, how far does Link have to go to get to the fair value range? I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, it's probably, I'm sure it's less than $10. I mean, it's probably like, I don't know. It's probably like a few bucks. Sim says, I want to buy Link, but too risky now. What would be a sensible price to wait for it to buy in now? I just base it on the risk levels, which is on my website, intothecryptoverse.com, or the premium list. I mean, in terms of like a specific price point, I don't really have a specific like price because the risk levels are dynamic. But I mean, loosely, like roughly speaking, right? I mean, if you look at the Ethereum move, we saw a 50% retracement. So just thinking in terms of that, if Link were to retrace 50% from 20 bucks, it would put it at 10 bucks. I'm not saying that I would necessarily start buying at that point. It depends on how long it takes to get there, right, and how the rest of the market is doing. But if Bitcoin continues to go up and then Link goes down, then that means the Link Bitcoin risk goes down. And so maybe a 50% drop of Link USD would put it in that risk level that I'm comfortable buying it at again. But I can't say that for sure until I actually know the path that it takes to get to that point. James says, what's your take on the idea that altcoins will bleed as Bitcoin makes its move upward in the short term? I mean, this is basically the narrative of the channel, right? If Bitcoin moves up quickly, then most altcoins will bleed against it. And I gave that metaphor yesterday or a couple days ago, sometime during a video, right? Think about waves, like you're at the ocean, right? And each wave represents an altcoin bubble. Each wave is an altcoin bubble. And then eventually you have like a tidal wave, right? And in this case, like all the altcoin gains just kind of get sucked back into the ocean, and then you have this huge Bitcoin tidal wave just come through and wipe out like a lot of the altcoin gains. A lot of people overexposed in all these altcoins that are like, micro caps and whatnot. A lot of them are going to get hurt, and a lot of them are going to lose a lot of money. Some of them won't bleed. Some of them will probably do okay if they really are providing real utility, or if they have enough people that are drinking the Kool-Aid. But at the end of the day, 99.9% of these coins are probably going to zero. So it's just a matter of if you did experience a lot of gains in a specific coin, and your goal is just like you consider it just to be, say, like monopoly money or like the house's money, just please do away with this thinking. Like if you invested, say, $10,000 in an altcoin, and then it went up like 50x, right, and it's now worth like $500,000, and then you think, oh, like I'll just let it sit there until it goes up to $1 million. Let me warn you right now that like there's a good chance that it might not, and it could crash 95% in a few weeks. So I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not going to say which coins I think that's going to happen to, but I just want people to manage their risk. And if you're up a lot, you might want to consider reducing that risk and putting it into a more stable asset, right? And then when the markets calm down again and things kind of cool off, then you can maybe make those smart decisions again and get into the market. You can try to front run some of those moves. But if you're just going to continue to wait for, whatever, like coin number 1400 or something to continue to pump or something, like it's dangerous, right? I mean, you could get lucky and it could go up and you could continue to see that nice ROI, but are you okay risking like 50x or what you've gained so far? Like, are you okay risking that because you think that it can't go down? Because remember, it can, and the market sentiment can change on a dime, right? I mean, and Link's doing okay right now; it's at 1680, but when something like this happens and you're expecting it to go up, and you buy at the top, like let's say you buy at $20, and then a few hours later, you watch it drop all the way down to $14 on that wick. I mean, it's a wake up call, right? I mean, the market sentiment can change so quickly. Ethan Barron says it's a good question though. Benjamin, peak market cap guesstimate for this cycle. I've actually made several videos on this. I think approximately 10 trillion plus or minus a few trillion, right? And the argument there is what's a few trillion among friends? I don't know. I mean, maybe I would say 10 trillion plus or minus 3 to 4 trillion. Crypto Morpheus says consider super chat for questions. No, I don't really want to spam the channel with tips. If you wanna pay, then you can check out the premium list and actually get more value. And if you don't, then just go invest your money and hopefully it grows for you. I mean, don't you guys spend like as you're going to sleep at night, like it's late at night, you're finally laying down to go to bed, and then you're just thinking to yourself as you drift off, what's a few trillion among friends, right? I mean, who doesn't think that every night? Johnny says, "Hey Ben, 1 Bitcoin or 32 Ethereum." I mean, I don't. It doesn't. I don't feel like it has to be either or. I mean, you could split it up. I mean, if the idea of 32 ETH is so you can, in terms of the staking, that's one thing. But if it were me, I would personally diversify. Yes, I understand that the last peak went from 15 billion to 800 billion, but we also know that volatility is reducing and that we're not going to continue to see that same level of gains. And I do have videos on it. Now, Mr. DeVito is asking the real questions. Chocolate milkshake or strawberry? For me, it would be chocolate. I mean, to be completely honest, guys, with Link at this point, I would be happier if it went down than if it went up because I've already sold 2/3 of my Link to Bitcoin. So I mean, at this point, I would love to just watch it bleed. To be completely honest, and it might not. I mean, as we said the other day, Link is resilient. If any altcoin is resilient, it is Link. If any altcoin could pop back up to $20 tomorrow, it would be Link. So again, it could easily go back up. It could easily start making a new local high. It could go to $25. It could go to $30. But for me personally, because I already sold 2/3 of my Link, and I sold it to Bitcoin, I would personally like to see it bleed in the short term, just so I can reaccumulate a lot more Link than I originally had. This would be my goal. And again, I mean, you guys know I love Link, right? I mean, I talk about it all the time. I love it so much that because I sold so much of it, I would like to see it go down so I can reaccumulate. And I mean, if I don't, then I'll just continue selling on the way up. But just recognizing that I think the market cycle is going to be a long one, and if I get the opportunity to reaccumulate Link, I will. Yeah, a banana milkshake would sounds good. Hey, have you guys ever been to well, they had these like banana pudding milkshakes that I've had before. I mean, again, guys, if you take profits from one coin to Link, or from say like Link to Bitcoin, Link to Ethereum, um, Bitcoin to USD, Ethereum to USD, you're not doing it because you're definitively saying that it won't go up, like it won't continue to go up. You're doing it because you want to reduce some of your risk from a parabolic move in one coin and offset some of that risk by putting some of those profits into a coin that has not seen a parabolic move. This is the idea, okay? It's not to say that it can't continue to go up. The idea is if it continues to go up, great, you sell more, and if it goes back down, you reaccumulate. I mean, this is the goal. This is my goal. Someone says, what's your top 5 coins for this cycle? Well, certainly Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link. I think ADA as well. I mean, ADA is basically my hedge against Ethereum. Uh, but there are some more coins I'm going to talk about on the channel. So I don't want you guys to be like taken off guard. There are some coins that I will talk about. I mainly have been focusing on those 4. Occasionally, I'll talk about a few other coins, but there will be some that I will be talking about over the next few years. Someone says, "Does your wife think you're crazy and wasting money?" Well, considering that I'm not losing money and I'm making a lot of money, I don't see how that would be the case. Let me tell you guys something, okay? I've been in the crypto markets for a long time. In my time of being in the crypto markets, I've always regretted not taking profits. So like if there was a pump in a coin and I never took profits, I've like always regretted it, right? At some point in the future. Again, if you wait long enough, then you might not regret it in the future, because eventually maybe it continues to go up. But I've always at some point regretted not taking profits. I've never regretted like taking profits. So, like if I take profits on the way up, I've never regretted it because I just recognize I don't know where the top is, and it's a fool's game to try to figure it out. So this is my take on it, right? This is my take on it. And someone says taking profits at this point in the cycle isn't a good move. See, this is that mentality I'm talking about, like the mentality that everyone knows what's going to happen with every coin. Like we don't know. and there is a decent chance that some of these coins retrace, right? Like there's a chance that Link retraces to $10. There's a chance that Bitcoin goes back down to 10K. There's a chance that Ethereum goes back down to 300. Like there's a chance that that happens, and if you took profits, then you could reaccumulate, right? This is my point. Again, if you want to hold for 3 years, that's fine. I'm not criticizing your approach. I'm just saying it's not what I do. Okay? I'm just saying it's not what I do. I feel like too when the markets get moving, it's just greed. You see the greed come out of everyone, and it's usually not a good thing. Patrick says, do you think you didn't take profit as a function of greed or because of your conviction and technical analysis? So the main time that I didn't take profit was actually I'm just now recognizing that my laptop is not plugged in, so I need to plug it in. Hold on. So the main time that I didn't take profits was over here. Okay, so this was kind of like, so I first got into crypto. Like I first learned about it in 2011. I was an undergrad math major. I was taking a cryptography course. I learned about it in 2011. I didn't have any money at the time. I wasn't investing in it, but I saw, I saw some of what went on. Right. I mean, I saw this move here. I did not have any investments in it. Or sorry, I'm not even looking at the right chart. I meant to be looking at the BLX. This was the one I did. Let me pull up the BLX. So back in 2011, I thought this was the, where was I looking at? Right, yeah, so it was, this was the BLX. So I learned about it back in 2011 or so, didn't have any money at the time. I was an undergrad student. Saw it go up, saw it come back down, invested some, saw it go back up, and I saw it go back down. So I learned my lesson, and then I started, I started taking profits, right? I started, taking profits on this move here, recognizing that I don't think anyone knows where the top is. I mean, calling 20K at the top at the time was a hard call, right? I mean, 10K could have been a nice top too, right? 30K, 25K could have been a nice top, 40K. We didn't know, right? So I mean, it was just admitting we don't know where it's going to be. So I think it was more just me being new to crypto in general, and kind of just watching it go up so quickly, and kind of like a deer in the headlights, right? General mentality. Remember to check out the Telegram group. Also, if we could get a few more likes, let's get up to 200 if we can. What other questions do we have? I don't think anything is I mean, yeah, Link is still at approximately 16 bucks. I mean, again, like I would personally prefer this direction in the short term. But if it does go back up, then we'll assess that when the time comes. Scott Robinson says, do you think there's a decent chance Bitcoin doesn't see the same kind of drop this cycle after running up because of the fundamentals and institutional adoption? I think there's a good chance you're right. I mean, I think that macro level volatility is reducing both ways. So I think that each cycle I think that as we continue on, like the crashes won't, the macro level moves aren't going to be as bad. Of course, we can still see things like days in March where it crashed like 60%. But I think generally speaking, the volatility of Bitcoin is reducing. I actually made a video on that back in 2019. And so over long periods of time, I do think the volatility will reduce, and the bear markets won't be quite as bad, but the bull markets won't be quite as spectacular. What other questions do we have? I'm just gonna put the link chat back up because that's the one I'm primarily watching right now at the moment. Someone says, do you have any thoughts on Litecoin? My thoughts on Litecoin are identical to my thoughts on XRP. So I ran off on XRP for a few minutes in this live stream. So my thoughts on Litecoin are the exact same. AK says, do you use any data analysis tools outside of TradingView? Yeah, I mean, earlier we showed our regression bands, right? I mainly, a lot of times I just do my own stuff, right? We were talking about our logarithmic regression bands, looking at our primary regression band here, our theoretical cell regression band up here, noting that even though Bitcoin has been so bullish recently, it still is in technically the accumulation region based on historical data. And that accumulation region spans all the way down to 6 or 7K. So, I mean, it can still drop and still be within that accumulation region. So these are the regression bands again, and I would expect, I mean, ultimately I'm expecting something like that, right? Where we slowly go up over a long period of time, and then maybe we go parabolic the last year or so to the next all-time high, somewhere between $100,000 to $200,000, and it's going to take us a longer time to get there. Noting that there could be speculative bubbles along the way, we could capitulate again, but ultimately I think we're going to the same place. So I hope that answers that question. Someone says, do you utilize DeFi, decentralized finance? Yeah, I do utilize it. Thoughts on ADA? We can pull up the ADA chart. I mean, so far it's still bleeding against Bitcoin, right? And we've noticed this. I mean, it's been bleeding against Bitcoin for a while now. So, I'm basically, I'm not really touching ADA at the moment. I mean, I stopped buying it at 10 cents. I bought it from 2 cents up to 10 cents. I sold some when it went above 10 cents. I sold it to Ethereum before Ethereum went from 230 to 400. Now I'm just kind of waiting. I'm not buying it. I'm not selling it. I'm just kind of waiting to see what it does. If you look at the ADA Ethereum chart, you can kind of see that we're back into this. Sorry. Whoops. So So yeah, you can see that we're back into this middle region right here. So you know, if ADA Ethereum were to come back down here, then it might present a nice timely opportunity. And I mean, you guys can see, I mean, this again, it's not rocket science, right? I mean, you can see the general peaks and the general valleys, right? I mean, so this is ADA versus ADA's valuation against Ethereum. Jesse Escobar makes a good, a comment last year when Bitcoin was around this price range. Litecoin was over $100. Do you think it will pop once more when privacy is implemented? Well, I mean, this is the point, right? Over the macro scale, Litecoin's probably going to bleed against Bitcoin at least until Bitcoin gets to its prior all-time high. There's probably going to be short-term pumps. That doesn't mean the macro level trend has changed. You just have to consider that you can't get swept away in short-term price movements. Someone wants me to pull up the Tesla charts. We'll pull up the Tesla charts. As you guys know, I do follow Tesla on the channel. So here we are. Let's switch it to the daily chart. And then now let's go ahead and add on our regression line. So the Tesla stock is splitting 5-1. So if you're not aware, it is splitting 5-1. Basically right back at we're basically back at the top of where we were. So you can see where we are. I mean, once it splits, it's going to obviously affect this regression line, because then for every one Tesla stock you hold, you're getting like 5 of the new stock. So it's going to be denominated lower. But right now, I mean, as I told you guys, I sold about 70% of my Tesla right here, and I haven't touched it since. So we'll see what happens, right? I mean, if it continues to rally in the short term, then I might end up selling some more of that, but we'll see. But yeah, this is the general. And if you haven't seen this regression line, right, if you zoom out, this is what it looks like. So you guys can see it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we'll follow Tesla, and we'll keep following it. I mean, more or less right now, nothing has really changed a whole lot. We're still significantly overvalued, I think. We'll see what happens, right? I mean, the stock split is going to obviously affect the regression line, so. What other questions do you guys have for me? Remember, I'll remind you again, you can check out the premium list at intothecryptoverse.com. Go ahead and put that in there, and you get access to a lot of stuff. Remember, prices are going to be going up soon, so if you want to get grandfathered in, go ahead and sign up. And again, you can also check it out at patreon.com if you'd prefer to go there. Maybe I'll answer a few more questions and then we'll wrap it up. What do you guys have? Someone says you're not in any small altcoins. I mean, I never said that I'm not. It's just that I don't show them on the channel. Explain log bands and why you think Tesla shouldn't go above 18,000. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, 18,000's a ways off. If we get to 18,000, all the way up here, I don't know. I mean, I can't really talk about Tesla going to 18,000. That's way too far off. Link is still at 16 bucks. And we'll see. Someone says, should everyone be trying to get 32 Ethereum? I mean, this is up to you, man. Like if it depends on how much you have, right? I mean, if you're trying to get a diversified portfolio, and you can only afford, the equivalent of 32 ETH, I think diversifying is generally better to reduce your risk. If you can have 32 ETH and also have Bitcoin and maybe a couple others, then it makes more sense, in my opinion. Oh, okay, so he says he meant 1.8 thousand. Okay, so let me see. So the top, I mean, it's not at 18, it's at 1912. So the current top would be at 1912 according to this regression line. And again, it doesn't mean that we can't break it. It's just based on historical data. So if you zoom in to Tesla, right, you can see that this is currently at 1912, but we know it goes up every day, right? I mean, if you were to extend this out, it would continue to go up, and by the end of September, it's probably going to be close to $2,000. It's not that we can't go up. I'm not saying that it can't break this. When I first made this line, it can break it. Of course, it can break it. I was just noting, when I made this, I made this chart back over here. So I made it back over here. And when we came up to this level, when we got up to at the top of the regression line, right? When we got up to this part here, I said, okay, we are historically at the theoretical peak. If you go back, let me add on something else. So we're going to add on this log diff indicator. So let's switch over to a weekly, or we don't even have to switch to weekly. So if we scroll this up, so this is basically the closing price divided by the fair value. So you can see back over here, we got into that region 3 separate times, and if you just take a measured move over, you can see that we were getting to that overvaluation region at that time, which is why I sold most of it at that point. Now, I mean, we're basically and note that this is it's daily data. So I mean, this wick, I mean, this has gone up. You can see that this is actually close to where we were last time, if not a little bit higher. So it's not that we can't go above it. I mean, I said before we can go above it. It's just that for me personally, given the fact that I was mainly accumulating in this region here, I was up like 10x. It made sense for me to just take a lot of profits, right? Because I mean, I don't think that Tesla's gonna go to like, $10,000 this year or anything. Like, I think it's more likely than not that it would come back down at some point. I mean, I could be wrong, but it's just a matter of like, I have a finite amount of money to invest. I was up 10x on Tesla, so I wanted to take a lot of those profits out and put it somewhere else, right? There's opportunity costs, right? If you have it, every dollar that's in Tesla is not in something else. So it's just about, again, offsetting risk. It doesn't mean that it can't go higher. It's just that this model, which all models are wrong, right? All models are wrong, but some are useful. It's just that this model, which I tend to use to try to look at undervaluation and overvaluation, said that we were pretty overvalued. So overvalued, in fact, that it was comparable to the last time it was that overvalued, back over in this region here. Okay, so this is the whole point. It doesn't mean we can't go above $1,900. It just means that it's the risk on it. The risk on Tesla is really high at this time. So it could go up, right? It could go to 2K, but it's just the risk on it is just astronomical. Any opinions on Ethereum staking? I mean, I think it'll be, I mean, if they really do roll it out smoothly and everything, I think it'll be good for the market. It could help catalyze the bull market still. But again, if Ethereum is up 100x from the bottom at some point, it's not going to keep people from selling their Ethereum. Getting a nice cushy interest rate is not going to keep people from selling. Someone said, have you looked into Link? Yeah. I feel like 30% of the video was talking about Link. Someone said, would you prefer 1 Bitcoin and 32 ETH or 2 Bitcoin? I would definitely prefer the diversification, not just holding one asset. Alright guys, I'm getting pretty tired. I think I'm gonna call it. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Remember, if you want access to the premium content, you can find it at intothecryptoverse.com. You'll get access to the alerts channel, the chat room, the weekly report, the weekly premium video, the risk dashboard, and the strategy dashboard. So you get 6 different things. Prices will be going up soon, so if you want to get grandfathered in at the lower price, go ahead and sign up. You can get a discount for paying in crypto, which a lot of people are doing if you think you're going to use it for either 6 months or 12 months. So check it out. You can sign up on Patreon if you would prefer to sign up there rather than the website. Again, if you have questions, remember you can always check out the Telegram channel, which is, we currently have over 5,400 people. So check it out, ask questions, join the community. You guys get the idea. We're obviously going to continue following Bitcoin, Link, Ethereum, and ADA. So we'll follow along. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I'll see you next time.